Here's the link, guys. And we'll go ahead and give it a few minutes, let everyone get in here, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, perfect. Just gonna let a few more people get in here. For some reason, I can't see the YouTube comments, so just type them in the Discord, guys, for anyone watching the YouTube right now, and then I'll answer the questions accordingly. Yeah, because I still can't see the YouTube comment, so I'm just going to be looking at the Discord comments. So, but with that said, perfect. All right, guys, so without further ado, let's go and get started. So, the big thing we're talking about today is how to trade narrative rotations in crypto, okay? Now, this is very important because with narrative rotations, as you guys know, crypto is very rotation focused, okay? So you're always trying to shift between different networks, different sectors, and that's why I wanted to go over this lesson, because it's very, very important. And so narrative rotations occur whenever the market shifts attention from one crypto theme to another. So think AI to RWA to meme coins to DeFi, etc. Now it could be other things such as different networks like the Binance Smart Chain, just like we had that season, switching over to Solana, switching over to Base, etc. So there can be different networks that transition from one to another. But for the most part, what we had earlier was utility season, and now slowly shifting over to meme coins again, okay? And then we may have RWA and then switching over again. So, but the big thing is you need to be ready whenever these rotations happen, because they do happen quick and they are very profitable. But at the same time, you can lose a lot of money, just like we saw with Binance Smart Chain. Everyone made a lot of money, and then everything dropped within 50 to 75% overnight. So something to keep in mind. So the goal is to identify and position early in these emerging narratives before retail FOMO's in, guys. You got to look at where the puck is going, not where the puck is. Okay, it's a famous quote in hockey. So make sure you're trying to stay 10 steps ahead. Also, your timing plus your conviction is going to give you those asymmetric returns. So you have to put in the research, the time, and then you have to place your bets with conviction, okay? That's the biggest thing, is there's no reason to just bet a little bit if you have the narrative down, right? And identifying that narrative could be from your various alpha groups, trying to see what people are talking about, looking at various macro events, looking at potential catalysts, or just famous people in crypto starting to really get a narrative behind them, such as with CZ, and really talking about the Binance Smart Chain and really getting behind that, and really putting his time, effort, and money behind a lot of these tokens. And so just like with Aster, I mean, that thing literally pumped 8 cents all the way up to over 240. That was that was an obvious narrative rotation shift, that once that started pumping, the BNB eco was pumping, and then everything else on meme coins on the BNB eco was pumping. So that's just something where you guys have to be able to identify these, and then afterwards you can really capitalize. Now, why narratives matter. So crypto runs on attention cycles, not fundamentals alone. Like Luke always says, where attention goes, money flows. And so if that attention is on a certain sector, on certain, Binance Smart Chain, let's say, well, that's going to override most other fundamental catalysts. Okay, there could be something happening macro-wise or on another chain, but if all the attention is on the Binance Smart Chain, that's where the money's going to flow. And so you have to switch over to where the money flows, because I promise you guys, that's where you're going to make those generational wealth opportunities, and that's where at the end of the day, you're going to make most of your gains versus trying to find these other plays. So that's what I would say, is just look at where the attention is at. And then narratives drive liquidity concentration, social media momentum, and VC and influencer alignment. And so making sure, again, just all goes back to where is that attention at, because that money is going to flow accordingly. Next, common narratives. So there's various different types of narratives, okay? And it's very, very imperative that you identify them. Now, you can also go to CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko and actually see the different sectors and different narratives split, and you can see which coins are identified in each. So that's also something big you can do. But for example, for technology, you have AI, DePIN, RWA, ZK, modular, and layer 2s. For meta trends, you have meme coins, governance, airdrops, restaking. Okay, think of restaking like ETHFi, Lido, a few others. You have catalyst driven, so like ETH upgrades, the Bitcoin halving, ETF approvals. Remember when AVEX had their ETF be applied for, and actually it started doing very well because the foundation actually got behind it, started injecting more money as well. So that's something. Then you have seasonal rotations like Solana summer, DeFi summer, meme season, right? And so you can see how many different types of narratives there are. It's not just black and white where, okay, this one network is pumping. It could be all of these different narratives, switching between each other and based off certain fundamental events as well. So again, it's kind of all encompassing, but you will learn how to identify these just based off of history, because as Luke says, history doesn't always repeat, but it often rhymes. Now next, how to identify these narrative rotations early. So you're going to monitor social signals such as X, Telegram, Discord, Reddit, and niche KOLs. What do I mean by niche KOLs? So KOLs are key opinion leaders, i.e. influencers. Now, there's some influencers that are extremely accurate. And I'm talking about Benjamin Cohen, Virtual Bacon, Xi Jinping, he's actually a very good one, and a few others. They're very accurate in their predictions. And so if you can find these niche KOLs that are actually very accurate, and they could be niche, meaning they could have a low follower count as well, right? They don't have to be popular like all these other ones. But if they're accurate, it doesn't really matter. So monitoring the social signals, monitoring your Telegram groups, your Discord groups, what are your groups saying, and then trying to get ahead of the trend. Now also, you got to track volume surges via Dex Screener, CoinGecko, BirdEye, etc., GMGN, and Pump Fund, all these other different platforms, right? See where the volume is going. Look at DeFi Llama. Where's that TVL going? Total value locked. Is money going more on chain towards the BSC ecosystem, or is it now shifting to Base or Solana, right? Looking at this on-chain data will literally tell you what the whales are doing. Looking at Nansen AI for smart wallet tracking, right? So looking at these different things, guys, can really help you stay one step ahead. And then observing influencer coordination. So I'm sure you guys have seen this, that whenever you have, let's say, maybe a certain token is starting to pump out of nowhere, like for Zcash, for example, all of the influencers started talking about it. Or you had Monero, or these other privacy tokens. You had the influencers coordinated to talk about these. And so if you only look at that, that could show you as well, okay, where is attention shifting? Obviously, they have some paid marketing going on, etc. But at the end of the day, if attention is shifting that way, then guys, that's where the money is going to flow. And then you follow capital flow and new listings. And so I'm sure you guys have seen some of these new listings have done amazing. Like I said, Aster was just one, but we also had Stable, AV&T, Hemi, and a few others, Apex, etc. And so guys, if you focus on where this attention is going, where this capital is going, then you can much easier be able to identify, okay, maybe this is a good opportunity. Let's see if attention is following these new listings, and then just likely capital will flow behind it. Now, the life cycle of a narrative. So you have 4 phases, okay? You have the early whisper phase, few builders, quiet alpha threads. So maybe the project could still be building, maybe they have their white paper, but not much else after that. Okay, fine. Or you could see that, okay, I heard CZ maybe building a DEX on the BNB ecosystem because he sees Hyperliquid as a competitor to Binance. So maybe we could start seeing more attention on BNB soon, right? Just early whispers, right? And then you have the acceleration phase. So now big KOLs are tweeting. First 100x gems appear. Or you have all this attention now on some of these memes on the ecosystem, or this new narrative emerges. Or, the stablecoin narrative is big because now you have the Genius Act that got passed mid-July. And so now stablecoins are big. So you have tokens such as Athena that are doing good, right? And so just different things like that, where you have these KOLs start tweeting and now the attention is coming. Then you have the mainstream phase, retail and media coverage, FOMO peaks. So now the news outlets are talking about the Genius Act. Now the stablecoin narrative is full blown. Now you have that exit liquidity entering because they're entering at the top. And then you have the exit or recycle phase. This is when the smart money rotates out and looks for the next narrative, okay? So think of this being, okay, the Binance Smart Chain season was very big, and then finally, once we got to that peak, everyone was talking about it. Astro was going big. Everyone was all in on that. Everyone was trying to get in on these other ones. But by the time it happened, everything was pumping for already almost a week, right? So it was already the exit time by that point. Like, these narrative rotations go quick, guys. And so you got to be in and out. You got to put your stop loss there. You got to secure your profits along the way and not fall into that trap of re-entering, okay? If you get in early, don't try to re-enter. Don't try to, exit and then enter at a lower price and try to exit higher, because eventually you can see what happens. The token just keeps going down and you just literally gave back all your profits. And so please don't do that, guys. Please don't do that. Please, if you get in early, get your profits out, layer out your profits, don't re-enter, and just secure it that way. It's much safer, and it's how you last. Next, trading strategy framework. So phase 1, you have the scout phase. So you accumulate undervalued early plays. Phase 2, confirm. So you're validating it with volume and influencer activity. So you may have found these plays earlier than anyone, but now is the volume coming, and is there influencers talking about it? Okay, put in the cash tag on Twitter in the search bar, like cash tag Aster, for example. Are influencers talking about it? Are there some accurate people that are starting to mention it? If so, okay, is the volume agreeing with it as well? Is there a lot of volume on it? Okay, perfect. Well, now you have some confluence there. Next, phase 3. Amplify. Post the content. Build attention, guys. Be early. That's how you gain eyeballs. That's how you grow your social media accounts. Talk about it now. Hey, I'm seeing this. I'm seeing XYZ. I did all this research, etc. That way, when people start looking for it, your account is the first one they see. And then phase 4, exit. Take profits as mainstream enters. Now, it's so easy to get greedy, guys. I've even on this literally last week, I've fallen victim to this. Everyone does. But the main thing is you're taking profits, even if it's 10, 20%, guys. Just take something, because I promise you're going to regret it, and it's going to hurt a lot more versus watching the coin go to zero. Just you not taking profits, okay? So make sure you take profits and make sure you rotate as it becomes mainstream, because, again, when consensus trades happen, that's when the trade reverses, because very, very rarely does everyone in crypto make money. Next, tools of the trade. So data and trends, okay? Things like Lunar Crush, Nansen, Sentiment, etc. On-chain, you have Dex Tools, Bird's Eye, GMGN. Community Pulse, you have X Spaces, Telegram Alpha Groups. I will say with X Spaces, usually this can be bearish. And I'll say it because there'll be some big announcement on X Space, and people will buy the token. There'll be a lot of hype, but then when the space ends, it becomes a sell the news event, and the token drops. So I want to tell people that there is a chance that you have the token dropping after you have these big news items or these big spaces, okay? So just want to let everyone know that, because it is very, very easy to fall victim to these X spaces and having these big announcements after. Execution. So Radium, Jupiter, Uniswap, Bird's Eye Alert, etc. I recommend Rabby. Rabby is a really good one if you're trading on-chain. So instead of MetaMask, just connecting your MetaMask to Rabby and then trading on there. It's much more secure, much easier. Or you can use Telegram bots, right? At Gym Hunters, we use the Photon bot. And you also have other bots as well. You can use Sigma, etc. But at the end of the day, execution is paramount, making sure that you can execute and you have the right tools to do so. Next, risk management. So limit your exposure per narrative to 10 to 20% of your total portfolio. Do not bet the farm on this, guys. I know narrative rotations can be lucrative, but at the same time, they happen quickly, so you got to be safe and you got to properly manage that risk. So if you have a $10,000 portfolio, only allocating $1,000 to $2,000 of it to these new narratives, then you can still make a good chunk of money. Take your profit at 2x, take your initials out, and then look for 5x and 10x milestones, okay? Don't try to make the home run play. Like I said, take profit at 2x, at least get your initials out, then you can layer out profits more along the way. Use your stop losses and track liquidity exits. And so what this means is obviously placing stops, but then tracking whenever these big whales are getting out. So like with Nansen AI and other trackers, or just when other influencers stop talking about it and they found a shiny new toy to then rotate to. That could also be a sign to get out. Never chase late stage narratives. So guys, if a narrative has been happening for a week and you're just now getting into it, like if you just saw Aster when it was over $2, and you're like, oh yeah, this is the next best thing since sliced bread, everyone's talking about it now. Well, the fact that everyone's talking about it now should be a red flag immediately. Like, yes, it could still pump for another day or two, but eventually you will have that drop. And so please don't chase late stage. If you're later than I would say 3 days, 3 to 4 days, if you're later than that, then it's probably too late. At that point, you maybe have 1 or 2 days left of pumping. So just keep that in mind, guys. You got to get out quick. And then looking at some case studies, okay? So for example, Solana meme coin rotation. So early signs, you had an influx of meme launches, plus Solana was trending. The accumulate phase, you had coins like Bonk, Whiff, Pump, right? Things were pumping like crazy. The accelerations, you had the influencers and liquidity migration. Literally everyone was talking about it. The TVL was through the roof. Influencers kept talking about this. Oh yeah, it's going to do so well. Solana Eco's doing good. Everyone's trading. Everyone's making money. And then at that point, you had the exit phase when mainstream media mentioned the coins. So when mainstream media started mentioning Whiff, when Ansem was saying he's going to put Whiff on the sphere, when Pump finally reversed and was doing great, right? Or even you could say during the initial launch when Pump was so hyped and everyone was talking about it, like, oh, it's easily going to 10 bill FTV, okay? Or when Bonk was saying, Bonk guy was saying, oh, this is going to go to, absolutely, it's going to 5x, 10x. We're still early. And then Bonk was breaking all-time highs, and everyone was talking about Bonk then. Well, that was usually at the top, okay? So just keep that in mind, guys. When everyone's looking to invest in something, it's usually when you should be getting out. Now, here's some pro tips I have. So rotate early and rotate often, okay? Guys, this is a game of rotation. I can't stress that enough. We've seen that especially in the past few weeks. If you get in something early, get your profits and get out. Don't try to stay in for a month, 2 months, 3 months. That hodl mentality may have worked in 2017 and maybe 2021, but it's not working this cycle, I guarantee you. Okay? Yes, we're going to have little pockets of quote-unquote altcoin season like we did with BSC and a few others, but guys, it's not going to last. No matter how much you want to believe it, we've seen how low liquidity is in this recent dump, right? We've seen how much or lack of demand there is in some of these tokens, and they dropped 70-80%. And so that should be an eye-opener of, hey, there's not as much liquidity on chain as we think. And so you better get your profits and get out and rotate accordingly, even if there's a million bullish catalysts that CZ supporting it, Binance is going to list it, airdrops are going to happen, buybacks are going to happen, right? All these bullish catalysts, guys, still get out, still take your profits. It's so hard to do, but you got to do that, guys, if you want to stay in this game long term. Now, track who's tweeting, not just what, okay? So, for example, yes, what they're tweeting matters a little, but more it's about who's tweeting it. Is Benjamin Cohen tweeting about it? Is, this Xi Jinping guy tweeting about it? Is Virtual Bacon tweeting about it? Is there people tweeting about it that actually have some reputability and actually have some good history, a good track record? Or is it just these scammers that are tweeting about it? If that's the case, it doesn't matter if they're saying this token's the next best thing since sliced bread. If it's just the scammers tweeting about it, well, why would you get in at that point? Okay, because they're just going to dump on you like they always do and then rotate to the next token because they're just being paid to tweet. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of influencers who get paid to tweet, guys. And so if it's just those ones that are tweeting about the token, no, don't get in. Align convention with attention, not logic. So the biggest thing, guys, is making sure that you're looking where's that attention at It may not be logical at the time, but that's, remember when they say left curve it, meaning just everyone, okay, people are starting to talk about this. This is a good narrative. I may not agree with it, or I don't understand the meme, but I'm just going to buy it. Okay, so you're usually looking at the attention here and not the logic portion of it. And then be the first to position, not the last to believe. So don't take a lot of time. If something is popping off and you're seeing the attention flow to it and the money flow to it, then get in quickly. Don't try to wait until it's over 100 mil, 200 mil to believe that the token's going to do, much higher. It's going to go much higher. So always look and always be able to act accordingly. So to summarize everything, narratives are temporary, powerful liquidity waves, right? They go in rotations, guys. You got to act quick. You got to take your profits along the way and make sure you set your stop losses. Success is about catching rotations before they peak. Always make sure you're looking at various groups, you're studying, you're doing your research, and you're getting in and out. And then lastly, stay data-driven, community-aware, and emotionally detached. This is the most important because, one, if you look at the data, you're going to take emotions out of it. If you look at the community, what are they saying? Does this have a strong community? Does this have legs? If so, maybe there's a chance it'll pump. And then staying emotionally detached will help you so you're not FOMOing at the end. You're not becoming that exit liquidity while all the whales are getting in before you. Okay? So if you can do these steps, guys, I promise you will be successful, and I promise you will last long in this game. But 95% of traders don't do this, or they don't have the knowledge of it, and that's why they lose money, and that's why they get that trap. They blow up their account, they want to get more profits, etc. Literally, it's a vicious cycle, and everyone here has experienced it, including myself. Okay? But the fact is, you have to learn from your mistakes if you want to be successful. So rewatch this. I am recording this right now. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll give it another 5 minutes. If you guys have any questions in the Discord, go ahead and post them. But this video will be posted on YouTube afterwards for anyone that did not catch it. So I'll give it a few minutes for anyone to ask any questions if you guys have them. And remember, I can't see the YouTube chat right now, so type them in the Discord if you do have any questions. All right, JLS says, what cold wallet would you use? I use Tangent and want to diversify. Great question, JLS. So for cold wallets, I would recommend Trezor. So Trezor is a good one. I know some people use Ledger, but they've had a lot of hacks in the past. So Trezor is the best one to use in addition to your Tangent wallet. And then also you may want to consider Keystone. It's an air-gapped wallet, but I would say definitely Trezor is another one to use. Mama Lee says, thoughts about Columbus Day. So no thoughts about that. I mean, you may have memes pop up a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I know that, it's a holiday, and so there's going to be lower liquidity, so it's probably going to be more volatile. That'd be my biggest thing. So just keep an eye on that. It's going to be, everyone's going to be watching that to see what happens. But yeah, I mean, with everything going on between Trump and China and the tariffs, just be careful, right? Because there's going to be a lot of volatility, especially when stocks start trading again. So just keep that in mind. Now you had Lexter type in, do you reckon Bitcoin and ETH will push down more, or do you think we've missed the chance to buy the dip? No, so I think that there's still plenty of opportunity to buy the dip, guys. I don't think it's going to be a V-shaped recovery here. I think that we're going to consolidate maybe for a month or more. So Ethereum, you still have time to buy it. I still think it's probably going to go to 4,000, maybe just under it before we have a big pullback again. But nonetheless, I think that you can still have some chances to buy Ethereum between 36 to 38.50. Because, in my opinion, Ethereum was one of the strongest. I mean, it held above 4,000 whenever Bitcoin was dropping before it actually finally tanked. So I think Ethereum is a good buy. If you can get it around 37.50 or so, great buy there. But yeah, I think there's a high probability chance that we chop around for at least a month. But still a lot of opportunity, though. There's still some pumps that are going to happen. So I'd definitely start DCAing if you haven't. Tip Topper says, how come almost everyone got wiped out? Do people have their whole portfolio leveraged or what? Yeah, Tip Topper. So a lot of people were trading on leverage, but the big thing, a couple things, right? So they were trading on low leverage, meaning like 2x, and they didn't have a stop loss because in order for a 2x to get liquidated, the token has to drop 50%. Now, usually it doesn't happen in crypto, and they have more of a, you could say, notice or a heads up before a token drops that much. But literally, tokens drop that much within 30 minutes or less. And so people got wiped out that way. Or they were trading cross margin, meaning if a token starts going against you, it's going to dip into your wallet balance to lower your liquidation price so that you don't get liquidated. Now, what happens when the token keeps going against you and you keep having to siphon funds from your wallet balance to keep your position open? Well, when it drops so much, like 50, 70%, you're not going to have enough in your wallet balance to literally save you. And so at that point, you're going to get liquidated for everything. So that's why some people got blown up for 70, 80% of their whole portfolio. And so those are the main reasons there. Just low leverage without a stop loss, or cross margin and not being awake to monitor at that time, or just not thinking that prices were going to drop that much. Starkiller was saying, ACD, can you please explain when you would use a stop loss, when you would use a set stop loss, and for example, 4-hour or daily stop loss with stream? So yeah, so when I would use a set stop loss would be, every time I would use a set stop loss, and I would look at what was the lowest wick that the token, the price went to over the past, say, week and a half. Then I place my stop loss below there. Now, my entry criteria would be on a daily support level, okay, a daily or weekly support level while my indicators were in confluence, meaning they were close to being oversold. That would be my entry, and then my stop would be below the lowest wick. Jose says, do you see the altcoin market going lower? Potentially. I think there's going to be a rotation. I think people are going to get out of those low conviction alts and only focused on a few blue chips, meaning Ethereum, Solana, maybe Hyperliquid, and a few others. But I do think this was a cleansing that was much needed. We were very euphoric. And now I think that they're going to slowly build back. But you're going to see attention shift more towards those blue chips because those ended up going down the least versus everything else. Raphael says, question about the HODL mentality. When do I know I should start moving again? Having hold ports. So really, for those holding spot, you should have just kept holding spot during this. I know it was hard, but you should have kept holding spot, not sold anything, because if you have those blue chip tokens, like I was saying, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Hype, etc., then those should bounce because there's actual demand for those. So you can have the HODL mentality now. For those tokens, you can have the HODL mentality. For everything else, I would say just stay rotation. Like, stay in that rotation meta, right? Because it's, as tokens are getting more, a bit more prevalent. As there's more tokens being created, there's going to be so much dilution of capital, so people are only going to be able to invest in certain tokens for long periods of time because there's so many tokens to rotate into. So, yeah, I would just say stay in those blue chip tokens, and then besides that, just being a rotation meta for the rest, or rotation mindset, I should say. I'll go ahead and give it another minute or so for any more questions. Kyle said, besides the plays you mentioned in leverage, did any of your other trades get liquidated or stopped out? Oh, 100%. Yeah, I was in an Astra low leverage long that got liquidated. 100%. It was a 3x leverage. I didn't think the stop would get hit, but it did. So that got liquidated. And then did I have any others? No, I think that was the only other leverage position I was in. Some others were spot plays, but I didn't sell those. I just held those. I see JLS typing. Give it another 30 seconds if any of you guys have any other questions. JLS says, what tokens are you DCAing at the moment? Right now, I'm just DCAing Ethereum. Ethereum, I think it's going to perform very, very well. I think its time has come. And so I would DCA Ethereum between 36 to 3800s if I were you guys. Then also maybe look at Aster. Aster with spot only. Spot only, no leverage. That's a good one too. Leon says, do you think strong projects like Aster will recover? I think so, Leon. I think so. I think CZ, they bought $160 million worth literally before the drop. So I think definitely that it'll come back. Jose says, what was the other wallet you said to use along with Tangem? Trezor. So Trezor. I'll go ahead and post in the Discord chat. Or Keystone. But Trezor is one of the best in my opinion. They have a good track record, and yeah, it's very reliable. So both are pretty good. But with that, guys, it looks like no one else has any other questions, so I'm going to leave it there. But like I said, this stream will be recorded, and it will be posted on the Gem Hunters YouTube channel very soon. So once the stream ends, you should see it on there within 20 minutes or so. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. Hopefully you guys have a great weekend. Again, guys, just touch some grass, chill out. Don't try to make any harsh decisions. This will pass like everything else. We've survived everything else. We'll survive this. And so we're going to have a lot of gains again. Gem Hunters are going to be on top. So definitely make sure you guys stay tuned with our announcements, our market updates, all of that. We'll keep you guys apprised along the way and walk you through this every step of the way. So thank you so much, guys. I love you so much. Have a great weekend. Talk soon.